Hello friends, welcome back to yet another episode of BE Roundup, ET brand equity show where we analyze the marketing and advertising industry. And this week, to help us do that, we have Mr. Prasun Kumar from magicbricks. Thank you Prasun and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be on a brand equity show.
Thank you, same here. So to start with Prasun, one of the biggest developments this week was that Cannes Lions ended on a high for India. Piyush and Prasoon's lifetime award, right? So as a marketer, how do you think, and as a person in the industry, right? How do you think it places India in the world map of creativity?
Well, first of all, the Lion of St. Mark given to Piyush and Prasoon has been an absolute honor for the country. It's not only the marketing and advertising fraternity, but I think every countryman should feel proud that at a world stage, we have got two individuals who have left a mark for the world to notice. I think that's quite inspiring for a lot of marketeers like me and, obviously for advertising professionals. India has been doing consistently well over a period of time now. I think over the last decade or so, we have been coming back with very rich, medal tally all the time. This year has been very, very special because we have got two Grand Prix, coming back from there, and they are all in all 21 medals. So that itself speaks volumes about our creative prowess and the ideation, the strength of the ideation, the quality of ideation that we are doing, which is being noticed at a world level. The ability to preserve your own cultural codes and to turn them into insights for brands is a very, very difficult task. And we have been able to successfully do that. If you look at both the Grand Prix that we have won this year and many of the medals that we won, there's one underlying thing that comes out, which is social causes, are finding their place under the sun. This year, both the campaigns, whether it was Blink to Speak, campaign done by TBWA, or the other campaign that won, both the ITC campaign, both this campaign took up a social cause and converted it into a meaningful idea and brilliant execution of the same. So I think it bodes well for advertising and marketing as such, and we can hold our head high, amongst global fraternity when we walk, with them.
True. So interestingly, we are speaking about campaigns, right? What has been your favorite campaign of this year? Out of the lot, I am sure you have seen many of them, right?
Yeah, sure. So see, for me, it was not a difficult, choice. No bias, but the campaign done by Times of India, the Sindoor Khela campaign that happened, I think that was a massive campaign. In the sense that here is a brand which is going and trying to question societal norms which have been there for centuries, right? And it's trying to, bring, or tackle a certain social issue, a certain social problem, which is so deeply entrenched in our psyche and well-being, that you would think that it's almost impossible to tackle an issue like that, right? Now, here is a brand which went there and which took a stance and said, listen, there is an injustice, a social injustice, we've got to make it right. It's not an easy thing to do for a brand, and it's risky as well, because there could be social backlash against this, but this was so well received, and I think that was a very, very daring effort, and the team that worked on it must be congratulated for the ideation, the sheer power of ideation and the execution of the same. So that's an outright winner for me. I think it should have won a Grand Prix if it were left to me, but I'm very happy it has won a medal, and so that's been my highlight.
Right. So moving on from Cannes, right? This week, one of the major developments, and it's still a rumor that Coke is going to acquire Horlicks in India, right? Though they have denied, but the speculations are rife, as they say, right? So, what's your assessment of this development, and how will it impact? Both are big advertisers, right? So how will it impact, Horlicks as a brand, because it is getting acquired, right? Basically, your assessment on the alignment and things.
Oh, sure. See, as you rightly said, Coke has not officially come out. So, any comment on that is kind of adding to speculation. But having said that, since you have asked that question, Horlicks is an important brand as far as India is concerned. If you see post-independent India, there have been few brands which have played a role not only in terms or only in the marketing or advertising sphere, but they have grown beyond that and have played a role in the overall social setup. Horlicks is one of that brand that has played a very important role in social setup. It was a brand that was seen as an alternate to milk at one point of time. So it became generic, and it is generic in its category in a way, right? So it has huge heritage, and it's a brand that has very high recall, huge awareness, and over a period of time, though the category has seen challenges, and with coming up of new categories, newer alternates and options and all, Horlicks had its own share of problems, but it still remains one of the well entrenched brands in Indian psyche, and so that makes it an extremely lucrative acquisition to have for anyone. Coke has been emphasizing much on moving away from sugar, right? And Horlicks is not a brand that really would uphold that promise, right? So for Coke, it will not be an easy job, but there are certain synergies again. Coke has huge distribution depth and width, and I think Horlicks as a brand can benefit from that. Coke also understands that consumer segment really well. The preteen and the kids segment, because a Coke consumption today starts at whatever age that you can put your fingers on, right? And much to the worry of parents though, but Coke understands that segment as well. So for them, I think taking Horlicks in their portfolio will not be as big a challenge. So there are some synergies that I do see, but strategically, I have at this point of time, I have reasonable doubts whether this is something that can strategically fit in their portfolio.
Yeah, will be an interesting development.
Yeah, it will be interesting development to see.
Actually.
Absolutely.
Right. So staying on this global trend and global news actually. So Unilever has actually taken a very strong stance against fake followers on social media, right? This has been a growing concern for brands, both national and international. That though they get numbers, but they don't know whether the numbers are actually real people or bots, right? Now you are a marketer, you head a brand, right? How big is this problem in India? That's question one. And two, what's your view about how to tackle it in India?
Well, what Unilever has definitely done is they have decided to bail the cat, right? And in a way, I'm happy that it has come from the largest advertiser in the world, right? And you needed someone of that stature to kickstart this process. It has become a problem indeed, and we must acknowledge that as fraternity. Marketeers have to tackle this problem somewhere down the line. I think this problem is, while it's global in nature, it is quite large in India as well. The big issue here is that influencer marketing is serious money, right? It is not a small thing. You are paying per follower almost, and in India, there are influencers who are charging in multiples of lakhs, if not in crores already, right? Now that's serious money, and as marketeer, you need to be very, very sure about the real ROI that you are getting. And so we must do everything possible to clean this. I think the onus is on everyone, be it marketeers, publishers, advertisers, and people who are influencers. They also need to take a lot of responsibility around this. The problem of bots and fakes have been there, but then now that it has been articulated, I think we must come together and see the magnitude of this problem and try to resolve this. It's not that it cannot be resolved; it can be resolved, but we must have the willingness to do so.
Right, and it's interesting that you mentioned about the business of influencer marketing, right? There is a whole economy of influencer marketing agencies coming up, right? So it's going to impact their business as well, right? So, but that's, I think, the way, how to do business in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the proliferation of digital marketing agencies and specialist agencies within that, social media marketing and influencer marketing, etc. It's a good thing to begin with, because specialized services do give brands and marketers like me a chance to plan something new and to reach out to consumers in a different way and to engage with them in a in a specialized manner. And every brand wants that today. It's a good thing. However, at the same point of time, I think agencies would also realize that it bodes well for them if they work in a clean environment and if they if sitting across the table, the promises that they make to a brand and a client are promises worth upkeeping. Marketeers sitting on the other side of the table also need to realize that realistically you need to be kind of driving real ROIs for your brand. And agencies also need to realize that over promising and then trying to meet that over promise somehow through not so clean practices ultimately would harm them in the medium to long term.
So speaking about business and staying on to moving on to your business, your side of the business, right? The real estate business, the real estate market. We all know how big Magic Bricks is, and it's #1 property site in India. But the real estate market as such has been through a downturn last year, so to say, right? We were discussing about RERA and other stuff that has that were the kind of the reasons for this downturn. How is this looking in 2018? And what role does marketing play in this to get the not just the brand, the entire industry up?
Well, I think it's a very important question. See, real estate last year saw a lot of policy interventions, and I don't think in the history of corporate India, any particular industry or sector would have seen so many interventions in a year. So starting from demonetization, to RERA and then to GST, there have been one after another policy changes, and these policy changes have been massive, from business perspective. So it was bound to impact the industry. But I'm very happy to see that while there have been initial hiccups around this, but the industry took no time in rebounding actually. But post RERA, I think what that legislation has done, it has given a reassurance to consumers that listen, the system is getting cleaned up, and probably if I kind of invest now in my home, I will not probably be facing those challenges that maybe some of the buyers have faced over a period of time. Now that led to a lot of consumers coming back. We saw a huge surge in traffic on our site, in the third quarter of last FY, and that just indicated that consumers were coming back. But there was one big difference this time. Consumers are generally of two types in real estate. There are home buyers, in a sense, those who are going to stay in the home after buying, and then there were investors who were buying, their second, third, fourth home from an investment point of view, right? Large part of real estate bubble that was created was, done because there was a lot of large chunk of investor, kind of community was playing in the real estate, right? Demonetization and RERA kind of cleaned that up, and the industry is now left with genuine home buyers. And so it bodes well for all players in the ecosystem, be it developers, be it brokers and agents, be it portals and platforms like us, because the moment you have genuine buyers, you are very sure that the consumer that you are interfacing with is one serious about his intentions, and two is going to respond to relevant marketing messages. I think it's only a matter of time before we see that getting translated into real transactions and real estate kind of kicking off again. In a post RERA world, what has happened is there is a level playing field that has got created, right? So no developer now has an edge over the other on account of few parameters. In a pre-RERA world, there were few developers who had a USP of delivering on time or delivering as per the specification, etc., etc., right? Now RERA as a legislation makes those two things mandatory to be delivered, right? So those two USPs of a lot of developers are gone, right? So here, you have a big developer and a small developer both playing on a level playing field, and whosoever can come out with a better value prop is the one who's going to win that consumer. So marketing is all the more important now. I think developers also sooner or later are realizing that it's high time that they start investing behind building a brand. So far, they have shied away from doing that. So far, if you see all the advertising that has happened in the category, have been about launch of a project. Builder A launches project X, right? And these are the amenities of the project. And you, as a consumer, if you're interested, come and kind of have a look, take a look, and book it.
Celebrity and
that's right. I mean, get a celebrity to have eyeballs attracted towards you. Now that formula probably is no longer going to work. I think a lot of small and medium-sized developers are now realizing that they need to invest in, building their own equity, because in the long run it does help, and it does help in, letting a lot of consumers, also become repeat purchasers with you, right? So now we see a lot of interest from brands coming to us saying, how can you help us? Staying ahead of the game, and how you can help us, develop ourselves as a brand and take a meaningful proposition to consumer. So we have come out with lots of innovations, and magicbricks incidentally is a brand which is known for innovations.
Right.
And in last 3 to 4 years, the amount of innovations that we have done and the new ideas that we have come to market with, I don't think any other brand has been able to do that. And I think that's one of the strategic differentiators that we have over competition, and that's what has led us to kind of almost win this category now. We have come out with a solution called Brand Store. Now, Brand Store is a solution that is a first-time solution in real estate, where typically a developer on a property portal or online as a space had a very transactional relationship with consumers, right? I am advertising my property, my project. You kind of, if you're interested, you leave your lead, and I connect with you, and then we take this forward, right? That was a path. But now developers are saying that, listen, I mean, we understand that consumers need to know better about us, more about us. For me to be able to win that next consumer who's probably going to go to the competition next door, what do I do, right? And we have launched this solution, which is Brand Store, and this is a narrative which is about the developer, and it tells consumers things that they didn't know about the developer. So we hope that a lot of these will play a meaningful role in terms of engaging with consumers and providing them solutions that they are seeking.
I think it was a great chat and quite insightful as well. Thank you so much for your time for this.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Prasun. Viewers, with this we come to an end of today's show. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and until next week, stay tuned to ET Brand.